right now on To The Point.
There is and always will be pressure on Folsom to grow.
The city of Folsom is booming, but at what cost?
I think that overcrowding is a huge risk.
The overpass is backed up pretty significantly a couple of times a day.
With city resources and money stretched thin,
the people spoke and didn't want to raise the taxes.
How the city is progressing despite growing pains. Thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. We're spending this next half hour in Folsom, a city experiencing rapid growth while also feeling strained. Incorporated in 1946, Folsom is full of history going back to its gold rush founding. It's located just 20 miles east of Sacramento, halfway between San Francisco and Lake Tahoe. The city is often known for Folsom Lake, the rodeo, 4th of July, and the historic downtown. Also known in the tech space, housing tech giants like Intel, Micron, and Toshiba, the city has seen exponential growth just over the last decade. A recent report from the California State Finance Department found Folsom is one of the fastest growing cities in the state. The city says as of 2023, more than 88,000 people live just right here, and that's a 22% increase from 2010. One area in the city people are moving to right now is Folsom Ranch. It's located just south of Highway 50. Developers plan to transform 3,500 acres of land into what they say is nearly a perfect place to live and work, with housing, shops, healthcare, and community parks. But with any new development comes growing pains and concerns. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen spoke to neighbors who say while they are happy with the area, they believe the growth is happening too fast and the infrastructure isn't keeping up.
Let's see. What are you thinking?
Ice cream.
We're not doing ice cream.
In the Wagner household,
Of course you guys want different stuff.
snack time
I know, I'll get you a drink.
is very important to Elena,
Okay, and then you want an egg with yours?
her 2 kids,
You want the yolk out?
and their dog.
Daddy. Good girl. And if you eat all your food, then you can have ice cream for dessert. Got it?
For the past 5 years, the Wagners have called Folsom Ranch home.
And because it was a fresh area, nobody knew each other and everybody wanted to build community from the start. So it was really neat.
Folsom Ranch sits just south of Highway 50. The new neighborhood has been years in the making. Voters approved Measure M in 2004, allowing the city and county to develop the area.
Okay.
As one of the first families here, Elena says her children's education motivated the move. There are currently 2 new elementary schools, Alder Creek and Mangini Ranch, where Elena's kids go.
The school is so much better than expected, not just because it's, I've been told, has won architectural awards, but because it's one of the top performing schools in the district, one of the top performing schools, therefore, in the state.
Really, Mom? I'm working better.
The new schools also attracted Diana Laney to Folsom Ranch.
Folsom Cordova Unified School District has really great schools, and so we have young children. Education is really important to us. All right. Come here, Olivero.
The Laneys bought their house in Folsom Ranch 4 years ago and were excited about spending family time together.
Fell in love actually with this specific model. Part of that is because it has a really good size loft for my husband's music activities.
Hello, thanks for calling Taylor Morrison at Folsom Ranch. This is Tim. Yes, absolutely. We can get you in for an appointment. Come take a look at our homes.
Home builders saw the potential too. The company Taylor Morrison says they were the first to build homes in Folsom Ranch.
This community is pretty close to being sold out. Should be by the end of this year. We'll be closed out by the middle of next year. We will have built close to 800 homes.
Toll Brothers saw similar success with plans for 1,100 homes, including a community for seniors, with about 60% of them already sold. But with the quickly growing community comes concerns. The only 2 high schools in the city of Folsom are Vista del Lago and Folsom High. City officials admit they are already overcrowded. Diana says she is now seeing that. As she prepares to enroll her son in middle school, she worries the quality of his education may be impacted.
One of the 2 options that we have, there's not many choices, in that arena.
It's a feeling Elena shares.
I think that overcrowding is a huge risk all around for the children's social emotional well-being, their academic success, for their ability to take classes or extracurriculars that interest them.
As the neighborhood continues to grow, developers at Folsom Ranch have set aside 130 acres for 5 elementary schools, a middle school, and a high school. And at this moment, the Folsom-Cordova Unified School District says within the next 5 years, they plan to open a high school, middle, and elementary school.
The district recognizes the consistent growth, especially in the Folsom Ranch neighborhood. Right now, there are currently 22,500 students district-wide, and that's projected to grow within the next 10 years to 30,000 students.
Based on the current growth throughout our district, both in Rancho Cordova and the city of Folsom, we're projected to open a new elementary school in Folsom Ranch neighborhood in 2028, a first phase of a high school in 2029, also in the Folsom Ranch neighborhood, and then a middle school in 2031.
Another growing pain, traffic.
But which should take you, 10 minutes to get to the Palladio is going to take you 20 plus.
With Folsom Ranch's growth, drivers say they are seeing more congestion, especially on East Bidwell.
But East Bidwell is definitely a problem. It is kind of the main road to get around town. A lot of people use it. The overpass is backed up pretty significantly a couple of times a day, and that's only increasing. And so we definitely need a few more overpasses.
City officials tell ABC 10 there is a planned interchange at Empire Ranch Road, one exit up from East Bidwell, to help alleviate traffic. But right now, the city does not have enough funding to fully complete the project. They say sales tax dollars remain flat, leaving many families frustrated.
But I think that there's work to do there. I hear really wonderful things from people when I speak to them around town, but hearing it and seeing it are two different things.
In Folsom, Jeannie Nguyen, ABC 10.
Growing pains are also putting strains on city services, and there are concerns about the city's budget. Coming up, we're hearing from businesses and the city. Plus, what Folsom's mayor is saying about plans for the future.
We have what I would call big city amenities, but a small town feel.
Welcome back to the Point. We are in Folsom, a city experiencing rapid growth. During this change, city leaders say that they are facing a constrained budget, staffing shortages, and millions of dollars in needed infrastructure improvements. This as the city's growth is placing more demand on public services like parks, police, and fire. ABC 10's Becca Habegger asked what the city is doing and why voters rejected one possible solution in November.
The sounds of business are bustling here at Shannon Family Automotive in Folsom.
Just a really, really supportive business environment.
Owner Colleen Shannon and her husband started the business in 2011 with just one employee and 2 bays. They now employ 17 and have 13 bays. She, her husband, and their 4 kids live just minutes away from the shop on Sibley Street.
It's not just a place we do business, it's definitely our community and our home.
A community she loves, but now sees strained as growth places extra demand on services and the city's budget. According to the city's newly published annual comprehensive financial report, the 3 biggest budget constraints are rising operational costs, aging infrastructure with no dedicated funding source, and the trend of sales tax growth flattening. People are spending less as money gets tight, and more of the shopping they are doing is online. Joe Gagliardi, president and CEO of Choose Folsom, says when someone shops online, the city gets even less.
I think people need to recognize that when you shop local, the sales tax money that the city gets stays local. When you shop online, it goes into a central pool and then is redistributed based on a percentage.
City leaders say Folsom's general fund budget is about $115 million, and 60% of that revenue comes from property and sales tax. Comparing fiscal year 2024 to the prior fiscal year, property tax revenue increased more than 10%. The city says that's due to a growth in home values. But local sales tax revenue dropped. This past fiscal year, the city of Folsom received nearly 2% less in local sales tax than the previous year. Currently, shoppers in Folsom pay 7.75% in sales tax, which goes to a combination of the state, county, and other public entities. Just one of those percentage points stays with the city of Folsom.
A recent attempt to increase local sales tax revenue failed when nearly 2/3 of voters said no to Measure G. That was back in November. It would have increased the local sales tax from 1% to 2%.
The text of the measure said it would have raised an extra $29 million per year for the city, which would be divided among various city services like police, fire, parks, and road maintenance. Most voters chose not to raise the tax, with Measure G opponents calling it ballot box budgeting. Colleen Shannon was among those in support of Measure G.
As a small business owner, I don't like more taxes, I don't like more government oversight, but I think that when you weigh it against the cost of, slower police response times, or our trails not being maintained, or problems that come up in the city that we're just not able to address in the way that keeps the quality of life, then I think that a sales tax initiative would be an extremely reasonable option. And since it didn't pass, I think it's really important for residents to get more involved.
Choose Folsom also advocated for the passage of Measure G.
The people spoke and didn't want to raise the taxes, so it means we got to be a little more innovative.
The city of Folsom does have a rainy day fund, and it's required to pass a balanced budget every year, but that means delaying needed maintenance, or as it did in this year's budget, choosing to spend some of those reserve funds on overdue repairs.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
In her State of the City address earlier this year, Mayor Sarah Aquino said the city is eyeing short and long-term solutions, including the sale of surplus property and the activation of underutilized properties.
One of the strategies is to really enhance our tourism effort to get more people to come here.
The city estimates about 40% of the sales tax revenue that does come to the city is generated from visitors, especially with attractions like Folsom's Historic District, Folsom Lake and Lake Natoma, and shopping centers like Folsom Premium Outlets and Palladio, which is celebrating its 15th year in the community. General Manager Gloria Wright says when she started at Palladio 14 years ago,
our occupancy rate was 30%. And now we're at 95%.
Wright says the growth of Folsom is helping to attract new businesses, even some national retailers who wouldn't previously consider Folsom.
Once the south of 50 construction actually started happening, people realized that this is a three-dimensional, 360-degree area where there is growth and can sustain having those national tenants here that are so sought after, like at the Galleria. So we're pretty proud of that.
Ultimately, Gagliardi says he considers Folsom's current budget constraints to be necessary growing pains.
We're not the only community feeling that. Those that don't have growth, I think, are really suffering even more than us. At least we have the prospect of what's coming in more opportunities.
In Folsom, Becca Habiger, ABC 10.
Coming up, we sit down with Folsom's mayor, how she's addressing top issues like traffic, crime, and homelessness, plus her plans for the future. And Folsom's Champions of Hope. Meet a woman offering a helping hand to Folsom's lost pets. Welcome back to the Point. We are in Folsom, a city experiencing rapid growth. We sat down with Folsom Mayor Sarah Aquino to address community concerns and the future of the city. Mayor Aquino has lived in the area for over 2 decades. This is her second term as mayor. She's previously served on the Folsom-Cordova School Board as vice mayor. Talk to me about why you think people are deciding to move to a place like Folsom.
Well, we're a full-service city. All the services that we provide are done in-house. We have our own police and fire departments, our own public works, parks and rec. We're a clean, safe city, lots of great job opportunities. We have outstanding public schools, and we have what I would call big city amenities, but a small town feel.
Folsom is home to more than 88,000 people, and with 11,000 new housing units being planned just south of Highway 50, some residents have concerns. We asked Mayor Aquino how the city is working to keep its small town feel with big projects underway.
There is and always will be pressure on Folsom to grow, but we don't have to grow our borders again if we don't want to, at least not in the near future. I think right now the focus is on making sure this new growth area south of Highway 50 looks and feels like it's always been part of Folsom. So the way we do that is with the amenities that we provide. So for example, Fire Station 34 that opened in September, it looks and feels like a fire station that's north of 50.
In 2024, Fire Station 34 became Folsom's first fire station built south of 50. Something residents in the new development called Folsom Ranch had been waiting for as thousands of homes continue to be built. Do you think that there are enough services here to provide enough for people that are currently living in the area?
So the property tax and sales tax that is generated from the development south of 50 goes to pay for the increased services that are needed to cover this area. With that money, we've been able to hire more police officers, add more firefighters. In terms of things like the healthcare services, all 4 major health systems in the region are currently building or have plans to build in Folsom. So that includes Kaiser, Sutter, Dignity, and UC Davis. So right behind me, UC Davis Health is putting the finishing touches on their medical office building.
Traffic. This is like one of the #1 things that people talk about here. Can you just elaborate as much as you can on some of the projects that you guys are looking at?
Yeah, so definitely I would say traffic and stop Sign running and red light running are the #1 complaints that I get from residents. With the growth has come some growing pains in the form of additional traffic, particularly on East Bidwell. And so the Empire Ranch Road interchange, that would be a new interchange, one exit up from East Bidwell Street. That would take some of the pressure off East Bidwell. So right now that's kind of in the planning stages and waiting for, the environmental documents and all that sort of stuff, approval from Caltrans. Once that comes and that stage is finished this year, we'll immediately move into the design phase. And that should take about 2 years. And then we need to move into construction. And right now we do not have full funding for the construction, so that's something we're going to have to figure out. But we are also looking at other ways to bring some more near-term relief, and roundabouts is one of the things that we're considering.
The mayor says the city adopted a roundabout first policy. They want roundabouts to be considered first before a stoplight or sign. As for the city's schools, a lot of people are concerned that by the time their children get to high school that there won't be enough room. What are the conversations being had about a high school being developed?
Yeah, so right now the kids who live in Folsom Ranch and the other neighborhoods south of Highway 50 are going to schools north of 50, and those schools are getting pretty crowded. Yeah. So Folsom Cordova is going to be having some conversations here in the near future about capacity and what steps could be taken in the short term. For example, they could eliminate inter-district transfers, meaning that kids who live outside of the Folsom Cordova district would no longer be able to come to school at the schools that are impacted.
So what does crime really look like in Folsom?
So overall, Folsom is one of the safest cities in the state, and we have a fantastic police department who does amazing work. But we have had some issues with retail theft, and our police department has worked very closely with retailers to try to target that.
The Folsom Police Department says they've seen an increase in organized retail theft like many other cities across California. The department says a majority of their suspects are not from Folsom. With a force of 79 officers, 4 of which are currently in the police academy, Folsom police say they are looking at several options to increase staffing. They are also looking at building a substation south of Highway 50. Homelessness is another issue the city is looking to stay ahead of. Share your thoughts on homelessness. How are you guys trying to combat it? What does that look like?
We have a homeless outreach team who does a great job interacting with folks, offering them services. Unfortunately, the majority of the people who are offered help refuse it.
What about people that don't want help?
I think we need to make it inconvenient for people to be homeless in our city so that they choose a different path and so that they will accept the help, because it's not compassionate to have anybody sleeping on the streets. We don't want anybody to do that, but we need them to accept the help that is available and offered to them.
Is there anything that you would want to say to the people of Folsom?
I would say to the residents of Folsom that we want to hear from you. We want you to be part of the democratic process. We want to hear your concerns, and we really do care about this community and the residents in it.
Next, Folsom's Champions of Hope. Meet the unofficial dog catcher of Folsom. Her mission to return lost pets to their families. We know that news stories are filled with challenges and hardships, but incredible things are happening every day. In this week's Champions of Hope, I want to introduce you to Deanne Wren. She's offering a helping hand to lost pets in the Folsom community.
Oh, the babies. Luli.
Don't underestimate little Lucy.
She goes by Lulu. It's her little nickname.
Carly Zimmerman says she's survived a coyote attack.
But she's definitely got some survival skills.
And the time Carly and her family went out of town, her dog sitter noticed something strange.
She tried looking for Lucy and couldn't find her anywhere.
Little Lucy escaped through a side door that was accidentally left open by the landscapers.
We got a whole bunch of panic messages.
Carly quickly started posting about Lucy everywhere, including the Facebook page Lost and Found Pets Folsom.
I trap over 50 dogs a year.
Deanne Wren.
Put this one right over here where it's kind of shaded.
And her team of humane trappers answered Carly's call for help.
What makes you feel worse than to know that your dog could end up on the side of the road and you're not there to help it?
Deanne started tracking Lucy.
We have trail cameras, so we watch all of our traps live. I'm gonna put some dry food in here, and we're gonna put that in the trap, and we're gonna try to entice the dog.
She showed us some of the tactics she uses to trap.
This is when they go in for the food. They step on the door, and the door automatically shuts.
It wasn't long before Deanne was able to find Lucy.
Deanne was so dedicated to finding her that she actually slept in her car in front of our house. We were hoping for that call, and we just all bursted into tears.
We've got a great community here in Folsom, but I think a lot of us do have big hearts, the ones that are helping the animals. To actually go that extra step takes a lot. You want help?
bringing a little hope.
Good boy.
Luli.
To families across Folsom.
I don't think there's anybody out there as dedicated to reuniting people with their pets as she is.
We know there are so many more stories to tell, and many of our communities are also experiencing rapid growth. So if you want us to come to your community next, or if there's something you think that we should be looking into, you already know what to do. Email me and the team at to-the-point@abc10.com. I'm Alex Bell. Thank you so much for watching.